As business owners, Raul and I truly have seen it all. We've been through a lot of ups and downs, and we love that we can take our mistakes and teach lessons to our kids through our own journey. And in this video, we're gonna cover some of the topics that we've shared with our kids over the years. So obviously, we pride ourselves in the success that we've had in our businesses, but the truth is, our number one focus, even through all of our business successes, is our family. And we have 4 beautiful kids that have watched us build and fail sometimes in our businesses, but there's some key things that we always come back to as the principles that we function from, and the things that we teach our kids on how to have a good work-life balance and take all of this success, but never forget the key principles.
We believe in, to every problem there's a solution, even if the solution's not the one you want. And so we're really big on that. We truly believe that we can always find a solution. It might not be the one you exactly want. However, we'll find a solution. Having that communication with our kids and diving deep with our kids all the time, since the time they were small, since the time they were babies, till today. I mean, our twin daughters are 22 years old, Natalie's 18, and our son's 17. And they're all entrepreneurs. They've all had a business of some sort. We call it the hustle. We believe that everyone should have a hustle. It might not be for them to get rich off of, but just something to just be creative, just have fun with it, right? And that's always been really important for us.
And what's another thing that's been really important for us is building our legacy. The cool thing about having kids is that you have someone to pass something down to, and being in real estate and really working on financial wealth and longevity of that wealth, we've planted some important seeds to our kids and how to take that wealth and turn it into something that their kids can benefit from. So when we watch our kids making mistakes or being influenced from the outside world, we're very quick to bring them to the table and go, time out, let's really give you the whys as to why we approach things the way that we do. And this is an interesting time. Obviously, credit is a big one. With our kids, we've spent a lot of time teaching them about credit. Credit's something that they're gonna need. And a lot of people live off of credit. And so credit, I think, is a big thing that
the credit game. We
them.
taught them from a very young age. We started teaching them the power, interest. How does interest work, right? My family members, my sisters used to say, I was the meanest person in the world because I would charge my kids interest. But the truth is, I was actually preparing them for the future, because no bank is never going to give you a 0 interest. They're going to charge you interest. So the quicker I could teach my kids to not live off that and pay all this interest, the quicker they wouldn't play that game. And so that was really crucial for us to teach them about interest and teach them credit. As parents, we're building things, and it's so important that we teach them, not only teach them, but help them build it faster than what it took us. Right? So, and then we taught them how to leverage each other. You have $100, I have $100, you have $100, she has $100. Together, we can leverage that $400 and go make a small investment or go do something with that and have fun and build something.
My favorite story about that is when they were little, we took them to Disneyland, and the cotton candy was $8, and they each had their little bundle of spending money, but they didn't want to spend $8 on one cotton candy. They were like, "Ooh, that's expensive," and it was funny because when they realized that they were paying for it, it was suddenly expensive. When we're paying for it, it's not.
That's right.
And that's a lesson that we taught them, you think about it when it's your own money, and that's one of the reasons why we always had them have their own money. But that day, our son was the one that wanted the cotton candy, and he was like, I don't want to spend $8. And then Raul whispered in his ear and said, why don't you ask your sisters if they'll each pitch in $2, and then you guys could get one and share. And that was the first time that they were like, yeah, that's a great idea.
That's right.
And so it began.
You satisfy that craving, right? He wanted a little bit of cotton candy. The sisters were eventually gonna grab a piece of candy anyway. So I told him, leverage your sisters, have a conversation with them, and then you guys can share in that cotton candy, and you guys all can have enjoyment together.
So that was a great first lesson. Another one, like you said, everyone said he was so mean with teaching the kids about interest, but it's like, hey, you wanted $20? I'll give you the $20, but you're gonna owe me $21.50 if you can pay me back in 2 weeks. And that was where the seed got planted of like,
That's
what
right.
do you mean? I'm gonna owe you more than I actually borrowed? And
That's right.
Yeah.
Nothing's free, sweetheart. Sorry, nothing in life is free. And that actually ended up coming back and biting me in the butt, years later. I needed some cash, and I'm like, man, I need $100. But I didn't want to go to the bank, so I asked the kids, hey, who has $100? So they all ditched out looking for money, and then Natalie I think it was Natalie, she came back and she says, here, Dad, here's $100. I go, cool, thanks, babe. So I took the $100, and then I said, I'll pay you in a couple days, honey. When I go to the bank, I'll grab some cash, and I'll come back and I'll pay you. And she said, okay, no problem, Dad. I give her her $100 back, and she looks at the money, and she says, where's the rest of the money? And I go, what do you mean? She goes, you're missing $40.
$40.
I go, $40? She goes, yeah, that's my interest rate. And I go, honey, that's a lot of money. She goes, well, you never asked. And so guess what? I ended up paying her $140 because she was right. I never asked what the rate was or how much it was gonna cost me to borrow the $100. So massive, valuable lesson.
And then over the years, it's transitioned into, a lot more serious topics. A first car comes into mind, and, my son comes to mind because he was the most recent one. However, we had a conversation about, could we get him a car from the dealership? Sure, we could. Do we want to? No. And getting him to understand that I wasn't going to put myself and Raul on the hook for car payments, knowing that he wasn't stable, knowing that his job is very part-time, and I kind of made him understand, like, some parents are in the position to do that, and that's fine, not knocking any of his friends and their strategies. However, that wasn't something that we were willing to do, and we taught him, and through conversating, made him understand that it kind of made more sense to just pull the money that he had been saving and buy something outright so that he didn't have payments, because he was gonna have an insurance payment.
That's right.
He was gonna need new tires and maintenance and all of those things. So the money that he would be earning would get spent, and he'd be grateful at that point that he didn't have a car payment. But getting him to really understand how financing worked.
And then teaching him, like, what kind of vehicle to buy, what appreciates, what devalues, and knowing how to buy, being a smart buyer, so important, right? Like, sometimes something might look great, but the truth is probably not a great deal. And so we dive deep into that conversation and help them understand, buying this car, he can resell it and get half the money here 2-3 years from now. He can resell it and still get half his money back and be able to buy another car. We've been really good at teaching them on whether it's an asset or not an asset, right?
Appreciation, depreciation.
So important.
Those are terms that, aren't generally taught. So these are the little seeds that we sit our kids down and plant for them. And it's amazing to see how easily they absorb all of this. And since we've been doing it since they were so little, like, I believe miles ahead of a lot of their peers, because they actually understand the principles of financials. They understand the principles of credit. They understand appreciation, depreciation. Yep. So they're heading into the world with a foundation. And meanwhile, they've been watching us pivot, move. Why are we selling this? What are we doing now? Why did we hire this person? Why did we buy this asset? How come we didn't keep that? Why are we selling it? They've seen us made moves in real estate, and they're very inquisitive, and that's been so cool. Our conversations with our kids
are just helping them understand,
deep.
Right? Like, you don't need to keep something forever. You have to evaluate whatever it is, whether it's buying a car or buying an investment, buying a piece of real estate, whatever it is, your rate of return, the time value of money, if I could get my money now and do a better investment later, like, I'd rather let's take the money now and then just make another investment and take it somewhere else. Yeah. And so just being open about these conversations, but more importantly, at the end of the day, just helping them just take a step back so they can take 2-3 leaps forward. Super important.
And I think the key thing too is we've been able to share our errors, which in turn gives them confidence. And I think that's a key thing as well, is, like, not everything we've done has always been right. We've made mistakes,
That's right.
And we're very open with our kids too about the mistakes that we've made and how we've learned from them. And that puts confidence in them. I'm like, I want you to know my mess ups so that, number one, you don't do them. But number two, when the opportunities come for you, you can have an edge on everyone else. And
right.
I'm so proud of them that they're heading into the world as young adults with so much confidence and a mutual respect for each other. We've had so many conversations that I think they trust one another. They've been good to each other. They've lent each other money. They've gotten each other out of binds before, and they trust each other. So yeah, the empire and the legacy is,
it's real, man.
Realistic.
It's real.
It's realistic for us.
Being an entrepreneur is not cheap. Being an entrepreneur costs you a lot more money than going to college, quite honestly. Because, all the trials and errors, all the money you spend, and, you learn from it. Obviously, I feel that I've learned a lot more by losing money, because you learn a lot faster because it hits you right in the pocketbook, right? We've been able to teach our kids even from that, right? Like they've lost money out of their pocket, and I said, hey, don't worry about it. Hey, thank God, what $1 million experience. You didn't make $1 million, you didn't lose $1 million, but you earned $1 million worth of knowledge, my man. Especially Isaiah, we had this conversation not too long ago. I go, man, $1 million worth of knowledge, that's priceless, right? And so, yeah, it's really excited about our kids, but more importantly, we're teaching our kids so they can teach their friends. We're servants. At the end of the day, that's what we do. We serve, we teach people. We love teaching people. We like taking people, you have a lot more fun having success when you can take other people with you and have success with them as well. So,
and our kids have witnessed us sit at our kitchen table with many, many people over the years, prepping them for home ownership, assessing their retirement plans and things like that. Mm-hmm. So, it's been cool to be able to do business out of our home over the years because it provokes a lot of questions in our kids. Yeah, sometimes the stuff that they ask, I'm like, holy smokes, I didn't know you were listening. And,
so true.
And they were.
The office setting is great. Of course, going to a nice, beautiful office, sitting down in the office with our clients in the conference room is awesome. But the best meetings are always at home. Just sitting down over here, I'll cook up some tacos, or we'll grab a coffee and we sit down, or maybe even pop a bottle of wine open, right? And just break bread with our friends and our future clients. Biggest moments are there, and and then it's also cool when they have kids, and then our kids are coming around, and then before you know it, their kids and our kids are getting to know each other, and then then they're learning from each other, and that's beautiful.
So if this conversation planted some seeds for you and you want to know how we've done it, or hopefully you take some ideas away from this conversation on how you can sit down with your kids, even when they're 5, 6 years old, all the way till adulthood. It's never too early to start, and it's never too late to start. Sit down with your kids, talk about what your dreams and ambitions are for the future, instill some principles about legacy and longevity in them today. If you need help starting these conversations and want to take a look at what your legacy looks like, know that Raul and I will always open our home, always open our table to start these conversations and give you a few key talking points for your own family and what to be preparing for.
And we can talk about your kids, or we can talk about you and your wife or your family, and we can just have an open conversation, and wherever the wind takes us, like Pocahontas, we'll just go with the wind.
We'd love for you to schedule an appointment with us, so click the link below to get on our calendar. Hope to see you soon.
See you soon.